Welcome to This Explainer, where we're going to dive into something a little unsettling. There's this ancient, invisible force quietly pulling the strings of our modern lives. Long before cities, technology, money, or even language became what they are today, this emotion was right there sitting beside humanity. As our ancestors moved through dark forests, sleeping under open skies, it was there. And the wild part? What once protected us from very real physical predators now follows us right into our modern urban environments, into our closest relationships, and even into those quiet, lonely moments alone at night.
So ask yourself this really uncomfortable question. How much of your life has actually been shaped by fear without even realizing it? Seriously, think about it. The answer might be way larger than most of us are willing to admit. And here's why. This emotion rarely announces itself clearly when it takes the wheel, right? It doesn't just walk into the room and declare, "Hey, I'm taking over your decisions today." No, it operates quietly, right there in the shadows of our psychology.
Instead of screaming danger like a fire alarm, it wears these incredibly reasonable masks. It disguises itself as just caution, or a little hesitation, or perfectionism. Waiting for that absolute flawless moment that, let's be honest, never actually arrives. It masks itself as procrastination, endless overthinking, and just plain avoidance. And because this disguise seems so logical, so rational, we rarely question it. We just kind of stay exactly where we are, caught in an invisible prison.
Okay, Chapter 1, our ancient survival hardware. Let's look back. To actually uncover why we feel so stuck in these modern behavioral loops, we have to rewind. We have to look backward to before cities or governments even existed. See, fear was never designed to make you happy or fulfilled. It was designed to do one thing: keep you alive. Imagine an early human hearing a rustling in the tall grass. The one who assumed danger, the one who felt the fear, survived. But today? Well, this ancient hardware is operating in a radically new environment. And man, this mismatch creates a ton of psychological struggle.
Over thousands of generations, our nervous systems evolved to ruthlessly prioritize survival over comfort. The logic is actually incredibly simple. Missing an opportunity? That rarely kills you. But ignoring a danger? That potentially can. So as a result, the human brain became profoundly biased toward noticing threats, making our nervous systems extraordinarily sensitive, even, and this is absolutely crucial, even when those threats only exist entirely inside our imagination.
Which brings us to Chapter 2, the modern glitch.
Right, so here is where the system begins to short-circuit. What actually happens when that ancient survival mechanism, tuned for dodging predators in the wild, walks right into a modern office building, or say, opens up a social media app? Well, research repeatedly shows us that social pain and physical pain actually share overlapping neural pathways. That means your brain literally cannot always distinguish between a physical attack in the wild and an embarrassing social interaction today. So an unexpected criticism or a social rejection can feel physically painful to your ancient hardware.
Simply put, your brain responds to uncertainty as if it could become danger. Imagine getting a vague email from your boss asking for a sudden meeting. Nothing has actually happened yet, right? But your heart rate spikes, your muscles tense. Why? Because your brain is reacting to a psychological unknown with the exact same biological alarm system it uses for a stalking predator. It's wild when you think about it.
This fear of the unknown is arguably humanity's deepest terror. The unknown forces our brain into prediction mode, and predicting every possible outcome drains a massive amount of mental energy. And because the brain views uncertainty as this terrifying loss of control, humans will consistently choose one thing above all else. We will choose predictable discomfort over unpredictable possibility. It's the reason we stay in careers that drain us or relationships that no longer fulfill us. We stay because, well, at least it's familiar.
There's a quote that goes, "For most of human history, belonging to a tribe was essential for survival. Isolation often meant death." And this is essentially humanity's hidden operating system. Our deep-seated social fears, that fear of rejection, of judgment, of just not being enough, these aren't just modern insecurities. They are rooted in a very brutal ancestral reality where being excluded from the group meant certain death.
And one of the strangest aspects of all this is fear's ability to just temporarily override human intelligence entirely. Because of this evolutionary mismatch, when activated, the brain turns into this paranoid detective stuck in an endless irrational loop. Step 1, fear creates vigilance. Step 2, that vigilance scans around and selectively finds potential danger. And step 3, that potential danger creates even more fear. It's this invisible feedback system that keeps incredibly smart, capable people completely trapped in a state of panic.
Let's move to Chapter 3, the business of fear.
Modern society has discovered something deeply unsettling about this evolutionary glitch. Fear captures attention. Because fearful information gets VIP priority processing in our brains, modern systems systematically exploit our ancient threat detection hardware. Think about it. News headlines emphasize danger. Social media algorithms reward outrage. Political campaigns leverage our deepest anxieties. And marketing? It often highlights really painful problems just to sell you the cure.
A calm headline is easy to ignore. A threatening headline? It is nearly impossible to resist. Because of this, we are currently exposed to more potential dangers than literally any other generation in human history. We are constantly bombarded with global crises, economic fears, and endless, exhausting personal comparisons. The brain is forced to absorb all of these threats, even though absolutely none of them are actually physically present in the room with us.
As the quote says, the result is a nervous system that rarely gets an opportunity to rest. Consequentially, our ancient hardware is locked in a perpetual state of alarm. It's a really quiet, really exhausting reality. Millions of people are walking through modern urban environments feeling this constant low-grade hum of dread. We are held captive in a psychological prison built by our own evolutionary biology.
So Chapter 4, The Paradox of Courage.
So, if fear is this incredibly powerful, invisible puppet master pulling our strings, how do we escape it? Well, the strange paradox is that eliminating fear entirely would actually be incredibly dangerous. It exists for a valid reason. It's there to protect and warn us. The goal is not to destroy fear. The goal is to understand it. The real danger is allowing it to operate entirely unconsciously, letting it silently dictate your identity and limit your possibilities without your permission.
See, we heavily misunderstand courage. We tend to think of it as the complete absence of fear, right? We imagine that courageous people just simply don't feel afraid. But actually, scratch that, that is a complete myth. Courage is movement despite fear. It is action despite uncertainty. It's that profound realization that true progress demands action, even when the uncertainty is intensely uncomfortable.
Because here is the truth. Every meaningful human achievement exists on the exact opposite side of uncertainty. Every single risk, every relationship, every transformation you desire, it all requires stepping right through the doorway that fear is currently standing guard in front of. And the thing is, fear doesn't always stop movement by screaming. Sometimes it just whispers. It simply convinces you to wait and wait until years just quietly disappear.
And that leaves us with an unsettling reality. Fear will always arrive. You really can't stop it from showing up. The only real question is, when it does, will you finally recognize its disguise? Or will you let it quietly dictate the rest of your life, spending years believing its voice is your own? Think about that.